Hello and welcome. Tom C. here, and today we're going to go over some things in Tom Clancy's The Division 2. What we're going to talk about in the gameplay you're going to see in the build is as of mid-October of 2020. I think title update 11 was the most recent. So this is not old, based off of builds and playstyles that may have been rendered obsolete as the product has evolved. What I wanted to do here is I wanted to go through a mission solo on heroic, and I wanted to do it with a build that doesn't really have strong armor. After Warlords of New York, I think most people experienced it. I certainly experienced it. You weren't going to have a very fun playtime unless your build was primarily red. And what I mean by that is, we've got the pieces that have the bigger first indicator. That's the primary stat, and those are all red. Well, in this case I have one as yellow, but when I first started playing after the WONI update, everything was red, including the secondary stats and even the mods. But these days I really find that's not necessary. An all red build is going to be very difficult to play, obviously, without much armor or without much skill power. You'll have a lot of power per shot you hit, but without a good balance between weapon output, damage, and survivability, the play style is going to be very difficult to pull off. I made this video and this build actually after replying to a thread in the forums, on the Ubisoft forums for the Division 2. It was being discussed that after the latest update, the enemy damage is perceived as being higher and too high. And we see these posts frequently, and the frustration is valid, because we've all been there. And if you have been there, you know that you just feel like every time you pop up to fire your weapon, 6 enemies, all from 6 directions, you get one-shotted, and that's it. So how do you play that? And that's what I want to talk about today. So the thread poster was running a rifle build with about 725k armor, so I wanted to do the same, and that's what we have here. I don't usually play with rifles, so this is new to me in terms of build, and as well as playing effectively with the rifle. I've always preferred the assault rifle and a marksman rifle as my build, but I wanted to play with a build somewhat close to what was being discussed in the thread. So I happen to have a baker's dozen that had a pretty good roll on it, so why not use that? Because I don't know much about rifles in the Division 2, but I know that the baker's dozen has been kind of the go-to weapon. So I don't think you can go wrong with using that if you're looking to play with a rifle. As a secondary weapon, I kept my AR, and you'll see me revert back to my old ways, especially when things get hairy. if I don't have, obviously the rifle has a somewhat slow fire rate. If I had another slow fire rate weapon as my secondary, I just probably wouldn't make it through difficult content. Sometimes you need the high fire rate of an AR or an SMG to get out of hairy situations. In terms of build, I went with a Negotiator's Dilemma build, and the reason for that is I've been using Negotiator Dilemma build for a number of months, and recently I moved away from it and am playing with the Hunter's Fury, with the Memento backpack, and also with the Bulwark Foundry and the Memento backpack, and adopting a more close run and gun. Not run and gun, because usually you got a shield equipped and that slows you down, but it's far from the traditional cover-based shooting that you do if you're not running with a shield and a tanky build, etc. I was going to go with aces and eights or strikers, and of the gear I have, I didn't really want to grind specifically, but I did grind quickly for a backpack. We'll talk about that in a moment. I found that Negotiator's Dilemma gives me the most power, and I found that out by going to the shooting range and trying it out. And the reason I've always liked the Negotiator's Dilemma build is, you see on the right, if you're wearing 2 pieces you get 15% critical hit chance, and if you're wearing 3 pieces you get 20% critical hit damage. That's a very big set of buffs, and if you're going to wear 3, you might as well wear 4 and get the 4 pieces. Hostile negotiations, which you shoot one enemy and that'll mark that enemy, and you'll see an icon over their head. Actually, it's not every time you shoot, it's when you get a critical hit. It marks the enemy, and then when you mark another enemy and make critical hits on another enemy, the one you marked previously also takes damage. And you can mark up to 3 with a 4-piece Negotiator Dilemma build. And since that hostile negotiations relies on critical hits, and I think we all know in the division, critical hit chance and critical hit damage are important. This build, I've really pumped up the critical hit chance and the critical hit damage, and also headshot damage. And let's look at that. Critical hit chance, 59.6. Wish I could have got it to 60, but I'm okay with that. Critical hit damage, over 100%. And headshot damage is over 140%. And why is that important? Because critical hit damage and headshot damage are handled in a way by the game's algorithms that it's applied multiplicatively instead of additively. So basically, if I get a critical hit that's also a headshot, the damage is a lot more than it would be if you simply added these together and multiplied that by the shot damage. So really, when you're building for critical hit and a weapon like a rifle or an MMR or any of the others, actually, you can get headshots with them all, but rifles and MMRs really shine. I wanted to end up with critical hit chance close to 60 as possible, damage over 100%, and headshot damage as far as I could go. And I was able to achieve that. And one of the reasons I was able to achieve it is because I'm running the sharpshooter specialization right now as I play this build. And that gets you increased headshot damage with rifles and marksman rifles. So that's going to benefit my rifle. And somewhere on here, I think it's no, it's just headshot damage. That's the whole reason I chose this particular specialization, and I already had it set up to 15% increase rifle, marksman, and AR. We're not using a marksman today, but usually when I'm playing as a sharpshooter, it's a combination of those three weapons. So I chose sharpshooter because of the headshot damage, and we certainly see that shining through here. So where's the rest of it? Well, I was going to say, where's the rest of that headshot damage coming from? If you highlight it, it will tell you. We see we're getting it from the scope on the rifle, from the specialization, and from the Providence defense, and from Keener's watch. Oh yeah, by the way, I, like probably everyone else, I'm completely maxed out on Keener's watch. If you're not there yet, that really should be a priority. So, and critical hit chance, we can see where that's coming from, and critical hit damage, where that's coming from. The weapon damage could be a little higher. This is not the strongest rifle build one can make. But I think it is a good build that balances damage with survivability. And there's nothing else particularly remarkable about those stats. All weapons, 76%. Marksman doesn't matter here. Rifle, 30%. AR, 15%. Gear talents, Bloodsucker, and Unbreakable. First, let's talk about Unbreakable. If you're playing solo, especially hard content, I know people do it, I'm sure it can be done, but for me, I wouldn't do it without Unbreakable on the chest piece. If you're not familiar with that, what that does is when your armor breaks, instantaneously it gives you 95% of your armor right back. It's basically like having 2 lives, and that can happen every 60 seconds. So without that, when your armor is broken and then your health goes really quick after that, you're dead on the ground and you're done. And if you're on heroic, you're wiped and you have to start over, right? So I run Unbreakable. A Bloodsucker I chose for this build today specifically because I wanted some extra survivability in this build. And what this does is every time you kill an enemy, it adds and refreshes a stack of 10% bonus armor for 10 seconds. Max stack is 10. That's basically armor on kill. 10% armor on kill, and it's stackable. So if over the course of 10 seconds you kill one enemy and then 6 seconds later you kill another, it's gonna stack, and I think that's gonna end up with 20% bonus armor instead of just 10%. Basically, the more you drop the enemies, it gets you bonus armor. And I really wanted armor on kill somewhere in this build. I would have preferred it to be the blue on these gear pieces, but this really good Providence chest dropped for me with good numbers, but it didn't have Unbreakable, so I can only recalibrate one stat, so I put Unbreakable on it because that's more important to me than it would have been to replace that maxed out 4900 armor regen and change it to armor on kill. I prefer armor on kill. Regen is every second. Your armor automatically gets repaired by this amount. It's not a horrible stat to have, but all things considered equal, I'd rather it be armor on kill. And likewise, on these Negotiator Dilemma gloves, I had previously recalibrated them to specifically put armor regen on them, so I'm kind of stuck with that. So the only place I got armor on kill in this build is by putting the Bloodsucker talent on the backpack. Everything else is pretty much critical hit chance and critical hit damage focused. Weapon damage for the main stat. More critical hit chance. And for skills, I'm going to use the Striker Drone, and I'm going to use the Revive Hive again. You're playing solo and you're playing difficult content. For me, I just can't see not having the Revive Hive. The assault turret is going to be used mostly for crowd control, and specifically for turning the NPC's attention away from me. As a solo player, you should know or realize, every NPC on the battlefield, you're the only enemy, so they're all focused on you. That's why solo play is so challenging. But a lot of skills, like the Striker Drone, will draw their attention away, and that lessens their focus on you, and I think is important part of your tactical and part of your build. So that's what the build I went in with, and now I'm gonna close out this introduction and get into the gameplay with this build, doing DARPA on Heroic Solo.
The bioreactor is deep in the DARPA labs. This time they know you're coming and they know where you're headed, so be ready for anything.
This will be the first playthrough of any mission after that build we just discussed. First try. Because of the build below armor, it's going to be more of a camping style of play. Looking at the HUD there, you see the armor is maxed, and you see a lot of blue. That's the bonus armor for that Bloodsucker talent. Every time one of those enemies drops. Now I gotta pop my head up a little bit to get that medic. That's a priority, otherwise he'll revive everybody. Since I have full armor, that's because of the armor on kill talent. I wasn't feeling like it was counting the shots. I think by the end of the mission I ended up taking the scope off. because I found it to be more accurate without the scope.
Echo 2, this is Brenner. Where are we at on the charges?
Set, but not wired, Chief.
Better hurry up. You're not alone down there.
And as I was saying, you know, I found a spot that looked good. I camped and I basically took them all out. Saw the Negotiator dilemma. Talent kick in. I shot the first guy and then focused on the second.
Power spike detected.
That's not good.
The first guy
Brenner's team must be using that power for something.
got completely
Keep your eyes
eliminated
open.
without having to focus on him again. Not that it's difficult to take out 2 trash mobs. Yeah, here I am, already getting rid of that scope. Now, I know this gets hairy in here. Gonna get chewed up a lot. So, if I recall, I decided to equip the shield. Crusader shield. Because with that you can still fire either the AR or that rifle. And you're quite vulnerable while you're carrying out the objectives in this section.
Assault drones detected. Rogue striker drone detected.
So just taking out the drones end up with full armor because of that bloodsucker talent. Well, and we also have armor regen on.
Active power terminal detected.
Get Isaac close enough and let's see if we can shut that power down.
Commencing shutdown.
Without the
Remain
armor regen
nearby.
and the armor on kill, I probably would already be on the ground here.
Assault drones detected.
It's more important to get that dog sleeping than to turn focus to those drones at that time. The shield is out, as I had suspected.
Power terminal deactivated.
You're halfway there. Get that other power terminal offline.
And the AR is out as well.
Assault
Like I
drones
said, when it
detected.
gets hairy, I fall back to what I know best.
Commencing shutdown. Remain nearby. Serious trauma
No
detected.
reason not to have that shield out already. And the nice thing about
detected.
armor on kill or any other on kill type of gear talent is these drones counter. Shooting the drone lady's drones count, and shooting that healing station counts as a kill.
Assault drones detected.
Now, as I was playing this, I
Power shutdown complete.
Quite aware how much armor I had throughout that. It's all because of the armor I built. And the regeneration. And here comes bombs from the left, which I'm ignoring right now.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
I can kind of ignore it because I'm behind a 6-foot cover. So the bomber didn't have a direct throw on me. And yeah, I go back to the rifle since I remembered I'm trying to do this as a rifler.
Target, in my sights.
Hostiles eliminated.
Get going. We've got to secure that bioreactor.
I'm gonna put back the assault drone.
Talk to me, Echo 2.
Almost there, but we need to get everything exactly right. This is fragile equipment.
Understood. Brenner, we'll hold him off as long as we can.
Now, when I'm playing a build that's a camping style like this one, you'll see where I like to go here. In my experience, the last thing you want to do is open that door and just find a spot right there and camp. I was looking to see if I had a better scope that could do more for this playstyle. Audio cues are always very important. Tell what kind of dogs they are just by the sounds they make. Sniper dogs in this case. And you can tell if they're aimed at you by the sounds they make. And see, there's an assault turret there is distracting that dog, as well as many NPCs. It's not a skill build. I'm not expecting it to do the mission for me. Its role is to
Vital signs critical.
prevent every one of these NPCs from being focused on me.
We're getting overrun! Get more troops on the ground!
Those machine gunner dogs sound like it. Feels like if you have a controller, and
The only way you're getting that reactor
feels like they hit hard, but those bullets don't do a terrible amount of damage. So it becomes lower priority at this point. I really want to get that
Rogue defender drone detected.
drone that he's got destroyed. Just by repositioning yourself, you can cut off line of sight from one threat. There's the revive.
Serious trauma detected. Agent down. Vital signs
So here
critical.
I'm starting to feel the whole point of that thread that inspired this build video. I can't even pop my head up. Between the unbreakable and really knowing the audio cues. And we get through it.
Lockdown enacted. All entrances sealed.
If I'm reading these schematics right, you should be able to get through the vents.
These days when I play, I'm always having the revive hive, and I'm so used to it. I'll take risks that normally I wouldn't take, knowing that the revive hive is there, and of course you have to be aware as to whether it's cooled down or not, and available, if there's EMP jammers that will make it not work. You know, you're always aware of that as you play. And if you know you have that safety net, you can put a few more bullets into enemies before you duck back under cover. I didn't change that piece, just looked at it for whatever reason.
Go, go, go! Get it on the barge!
Got a tank. Gotta disable his ammo belt so he can't shoot, and start dealing with some of the other threats while I have a little bit of time to do that. We need to maneuver him again. Put some distance between us.
System disrupted.
Deal with some other threats.
System reactivated.
Let's say we just shoot his ammo belt every once in a while.
System back online.
And there's the drone lady.
Serious trauma detected.
I'd realized I didn't have my drone out, which was a tactical error. See how nicely that takes some attention off of you. I think the true purpose of reds in these heroic missions are to be used as basically food. Because you're going to be playing with something like armor on kill or something of that nature. You need a lot of reds that you can drop quickly to get the buff. That hit with a million critical hit headshot.
Helipad is secure. Where's my bioreactor?
On the barge. Sending it your way now, Command. Command, we have division here. Engaging now.
He doesn't fire.
These tunnels don't seem to be on any plan. You're on your own for now.
Come on! Stop these assholes!
I see a number of glitches here. That rusher is stuck running in a circle. The dog keeps kind of transporting. Rusher is stuck.
Gate control
Door shut. The
located.
rusher didn't have a path to us. They probably shouldn't have spawned a rusher. But they did.
You're on that board! ASAP!
Sometimes you can get them, it's hard. I was either gonna take it in the face or maybe shoot it. Again, as seeing me use the Negotiator to limit to my benefit there. Marked him and then just kept hammering the tank. At the time I was playing this, I hadn't realized just how effective this build was with the headshot damage numbers we're seeing and how I remained full on armor pretty much through it despite taking a lot of shots like that. run back. Especially when I've lost control. Control is lost here. I see the AR come out because I know I've lost control here. And I can't shoot that guy. Let's get out of the line of fire for a minute. Kill anything so I'll get some armor. Regen is helping, but I really need to kill some. And here comes the AR.
Go ahead. Let him out.
Dog and all those enemies. I was really surprised I could go down there. Of course, we're situationally aware that that was the only thing left, so...
Freight loader detected.
I think I may have made a better build than I thought at the time. Because it turned out I made it through this mission a lot quicker than I expected.
Command, we've lost control of the package.
Any units in proximity, move in. Everyone else, get to the helipad.
Playstyle. Close. I need to kill it or break its wheels. Or I'm gonna be hurt. But as luck had it, it decided to not come any further.
Get your gear in order. Brenner knows you're moving to the helipad, and he's prepared.
Now at this point I was contemplating equipping the shield again. But playing this type of build, I do typically use the assault turret for a distractor. And since I talked about it as part of the build, I wanted to go with it. I think that's what I ended up doing. I always give the turrets the priority at first, but if memory serves, I think I was given a tank right off the start here.
Get those turrets online. We need to make sure they can't get air support in here.
usually go right here,
Automated turrets detected.
because I can usually
We have a
get
helicopter
both.
standing by to extract the
Near the
bioreactor.
tank, I can
Secure
usually
the area.
get both
Top
of these
of
from
flare
here,
is
but
clear.
not with this weapon. Near that tank.
Vital signs critical.
See them drones? Yeah, I had to use the AR to get that one. Needed to get that turret down quick. Now the tank. Had to move, otherwise I'd have gotten blown out. Probably should have kept AR. I decided to go back to the rifle at that moment. I was trying to jump down.
Agent out of action. Agent
What?
vital signs 0.
Gotta love the hive. I have to use that to not give him a line of sight while I deal with some of the others. And get out of that horrible position that I'm stuck in. And I'm still low on armor, so yeah, I'm happy to see some reds come up running towards me.
Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
Now I really need to get rid of that tank, because we're going into phase 2.
Mortars
that,
on this
see the red,
location.
you gotta move.
ASAP.
Kind of using the negotiator dilemma to my advantage there. Gotta keep him busy with the turret, or the drone.
Mortar on my mark. Now!
Sounds like a lot, but unless the red is on you, it doesn't matter. Those explosions aren't gonna hit you. Drones are always a priority. Medic over there reviving someone, that's a priority. I knew it at the time, and I'll get to it. Keep him busy with the drone again. Right now, just feeding off the reds to get the armor on kill. I just prefer the AR for this kind of work. You gotta move
Mortars
a
on
lot
this
and
location.
work quick
ASAP.
in this particular battle.
Immediate medical
Get the
assistance
turret
needed.
on him again. There it goes. Oh, shoot. It went on her instead.
Serious trauma detected.
I probably should have used an armor kit, but I didn't. And he's about to send the mortars, so we're just gonna move.
Mortars on this location. ASAP.
In a position where he doesn't have a line of sight because he wants. Now I gotta damage him to a certain point before the next phase begins. And I need to
Mortar
get
on my
ammo,
mark.
so we're gonna do
Now.
that. Need to get a
Vital
turret
signs critical.
or a drone on him again. I didn't do it. For whatever reason. Now I'll keep him busy with a turret probably, or a drone. So I can get some ammo. Oh, he's gonna do the mortars, so
Mortars on this location. ASAP.
there. really
Serious trauma detected.
and get back. And I want to be here so that when they drop in, I can take a lot of them out.
Vital signs critical.
Mortar! Now!
I really like this spot because you got a double wide or a double tall cover. You can cut off angles to a lot of line of sights of enemies. I accidentally had swapped to my sidearm there. Sometimes I hit the wrong button when I'm moving. Oh yeah, I was supposed to be demoing a rifle build. Now they're all going to drop in, so I can take a lot of them out right here. That's what I want to do. Got a lot of those. Now there will be a room dropped in from the other side as well. As we call them, as in additionals. Caught that grenadier right in time. Right there. Kept him from having a shot that whole time. Now at this point I gotta hide. It's just
Serious trauma detected.
us and him, so I figured if I go down, I go down. Keep him busy with the turret drone again. Yep. And I took the risk knowing that I had to
Immediate
hide.
medical assistance needed.
And I have the
Agent
drone out, so he's
incapacitated.
busy with that. And that is why I do run skill tier 1 instead of an all red build, so that I have lesser
Good work.
cooldown time on
Now
that
pop that flare.
revive hive, and I have a little bit longer duration and more damage
Roger. We're on the way.
on that drone. So that was heroic with this rifle build. I would, with just 725k of armor, but making it absolutely doable by increasing the survivability with some armor regen and armor on kill. And fairly decent gameplay, tactics, and strategy. And that'll be a wrap. Thank you all for watching, and I hope this has been helpful.